story of Icarus, who's fun. But the exhilaration sun melted his wings. He is not an irresponsible fasti. Yeah. Survey your zone. Box 7.
Copy all Fox 3.
The seismic.
Believe this. The bedroom.
Let's move. Somebody cover the civilians. Yorishi.
That's a big one.
Hey guys, today we are diving headfirst into the colossal chaos that is Kong, Skull Island from 2017. Get ready for a thrilling ride through giant monsters, incredible action, and maybe a few questionable decisions by our human protagonists. This movie really amps up the monster in Monster Movie, giving us a Kong that isn't just big, he's basically a walking, roaring force of nature. It's a fantastic entry into the Monsterverse, expanding the lore and giving us some truly spectacular creature design. I put a lot of work into these, so if you like what you see, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. No worries if not. So buckle up because things are about to get really wild. Our journey begins with a rather intense flashback, specifically to 1944. Smack dab in the middle of World War II, we see an American fighter pilot, Lieutenant Hank Marlowe, get shot down over what appears to be a very uncharted island. Before he can even catch his breath, he's ambushed by the Japanese pilot who took him down. Gunpei Ikari, the metallic clanging of their desperate brawl echoes against the isolated cliffs, a harsh contrast to the gentle lapping of the waves. Just as things are about to get really messy between them, a sudden, earth-shaking rumble vibrates through the ground. The pilots look up, their petty human squabbles instantly forgotten as a truly colossal ape, Kong himself, lumbers over the ridge. His sheer scale is just mind-blowing, a living, breathing mountain of muscle and fur, letting out a thunderous roar that physically vibrates through your chest. Suddenly, their war feels incredibly small, utterly insignificant. Talk about a rude interruption to a dogfight, huh? Fast forward to 1973, the Vietnam War is wrapping up, and we're introduced to Bill Randa, a determined, slightly unhinged government official from the mysterious organization Monarch. He's gotta be in his bonnet about a newly discovered, uncharted island cloaked in an eternal storm system. With his loyal seismologist, Houston Brooks, Randa pitches the idea of an expedition to a skeptical US senator. His argument? The island is a land before time, teeming with unknown flora and fauna, and it's our last chance to understand it before the Soviets do. The senator, bless his heart, is more worried about budgets and avoiding another quagmire. Randa, however, insists this isn't just any island. It's a place where myth and reality blur, a spot on the map that shouldn't exist, a real head-scratcher for cartographers and anyone who thought they knew the world. You can almost feel the tension in the room. The weight of Randa's obsession pushing against bureaucratic inertia to lead their grand adventure into the unknown. Randa and Brooks track down James Conrad, a former British SAS captain, who's currently making a modest living as a tracker. He's the kind of guy who looks like he's seen things, heard things, probably wrestled things, and decided a quiet drink was the best policy. They find him in a rather dimly lit, smoky bar, because where else would you find a shadowy operative? They dangle a considerable sum of money and the allure of an uncharted island in front of him. Conrad, with a weary sigh and a slight smirk, initially tries to play hard to get, questioning their motives and the feasibility of such an endeavor. But the tantalizing whisper of the unknown, and let's be honest, the promise of a hefty paycheck, eventually reels him in. He's a man who understands that sometimes the biggest rewards come with the biggest risks, even if those risks involve a place that literally defies explanation. Next on the recruitment drive is Mason Weaver, a fiercely independent photojournalist. We first see her expertly navigating a chaotic anti-war protest, her camera a silent weapon, capturing the raw emotions and the stark realities of the era. She's not just taking pictures, she's searching for truth, a storyteller through the lens. The news of the Vietnam War's impending and crackles through the air, but Weaver's gaze is already fixed on the next horizon, the next story. When Randa's team approaches her, the offer of an expedition to an unexplored island immediately piques her interest. She's not in it for the glory or the money. She sees a chance to document something monumental, to expose hidden wonders or, perhaps, hidden horrors. Her skepticism is a shield, but her curiosity is a powerful magnet, pulling her towards this impossible journey. She's definitely not one to back down from a challenge, even if it means stepping into the mouth of the unknown. No expedition into the unknown is complete without some serious firepower. And that's where Lieutenant Colonel Preston Packard and his loyal helicopter squadron come in. These guys are fresh off the grueling battlefields of Vietnam, tired but still coiled with a restless energy. Packard, a man whose face tells 100 stories of combat, sees this as one last hurrah, one final mission before his men can finally head home. He addresses his squadron with a steely resolve, his voice cutting through the thrumming engines, emphasizing discipline and readiness. The roar of the helicopter blades already hints at the cacophony of chaos to come. His pilots, a mix of seasoned veterans and fresh-faced young men, listen intently, ready to follow their commander into whatever hellish landscape awaits them. They're soldiers, after all, trained for the unexpected. Though I'm pretty sure Giant Ape wasn't covered in basic training. With all the key players assembled, the scientists, the soldiers, the trackers, the journalists, and the guy who probably just wanted a free ride, the expedition sets sail aboard the SS Wanderer. The journey is tense, a mix of anticipation and trepidation hanging heavy in the air. As they approach the coordinates, a truly massive, impenetrable storm front looms on the horizon, a swirling vortex of thunder and lightning that seems to actively repel all attempts at passage. It's like the island itself is saying, "Stay out, you nosy humans." The ship rocks violently as it breaches the tempest, the crackling static on the radio a testament to the raw energy of the storm. The wind whips and howls, rainwater pounds the deck, and the churning ocean tries its best to swallow them whole. It's a truly spectacular display of nature's fury. A grand welcome to a place that doesn't want to be found, against all odds and certainly against common sense. Packard's squadron of helicopters plunges directly into the heart of this monstrous storm. The sheer force of the wind, the deafening roar of the rotors fighting against the tempest, and the blinding flashes of lightning are truly overwhelming. Rain lashes down with the intensity of 1,000 fire hoses, blurring vision and rattling the aircraft with violent shakes. It's a relentless, bone-jarring ride, each helicopter a tiny speck of defiance against a raging sky. The pilots, veterans of far too many skirmishes, grimly hold their controls, their knuckles white, their faces etched with concentration. This isn't just bad weather. It's a living, breathing entity determined to tear them apart. You can almost feel the concussive jolts, the stomach-lurching drops, and the constant battle for control. It's a masterclass in aerial tension, setting the stage for the true horror to come. Then, just as abruptly as it began, the storm dissipates. The helicopters punch through the churning clouds, and what greets them is nothing short of miraculous. Below them, Skull Island unfurls in all its untouched, primeval glory. The vibrant greens of the jungle are almost impossibly bright. The sunlight filters through a canopy that looks like it hasn't seen a human in millennia. It's like stepping directly into a prehistoric painting, a world where evolution clearly took a detour. The air, once thick with the smell of rain and ozone, now carries the earthy scent of damp soil and unknown foliage. The sheer, breathtaking beauty of it all is almost disarming, lulling the crew into a false sense of security. It's a stunning visual transition, from terrifying chaos to serene, albeit eerie, splendor. But don't let the pretty colors fool you. This place is just waiting to bite back, ignoring Conrad's very sensible warnings about upsetting an unknown ecosystem. Randa insists on deploying his seismic charges. The plan to map the island's subsurface. The reality? To basically give the island a very rude, very loud, and very deep tissue massage. The helicopters fly in formation, dropping these cylindrical charges that detonate with a series of concussive thuds and rumbling explosions. Each blast sends a shudder through the very ground, a loud, intrusive boom ripping through the peaceful jungle air. You can practically feel the vibrations traveling through the soles of your feet. The entire island seems to collectively flinch at this assault, and anyone with half a brain could tell this wasn't going to end well. It's like poking a sleeping dragon with a very large, explosive stick, just waiting for it to open one very grumpy eye. And that, my friends, is exactly when Kong decides he's had enough of these noisy intruders. With an earth-shattering roar that literally peels paint, the colossal ape bursts from behind a hill, a towering silhouette against the sky. He's covered in mud, vines, and an aura of sheer, unadulterated fury. The ground trembles with each mighty stomp as he lunges, his massive hands sweeping through the air with astonishing speed. The first helicopter is swatted out of the sky like an annoying mosquito, its rotors instantly mangled, its metallic body crumpling with a horrendous screech and a fiery explosion. The pilots don't even have a chance. Then another and another. The skies, moments ago filled with the orderly buzz of machines, are now a chaotic ballet of falling debris, screaming men, and explosions that bloom like grotesque flowers. Kong's rampage is primal, brutal, and undeniably spectacular. This isn't just an animal. It's a force of nature fighting back, and frankly, he's got a point. Who drops bombs in someone's backyard? The scene descends into absolute pandemonium. Helicopters are torn apart with terrifying ease, their metallic shells groaning under Kong's immense strength before exploding into fiery wreckage. One chopper carrying Conrad, Weaver, Randa, and a handful of soldiers spins wildly out of control, its rotors screaming in protest. Inside, the terror is palpable. Loose equipment flies around the cabin, glass shatters, and the screams of the dying mix with the deafening roar of the descent. Weaver, ever the photographer, manages to snap a few frantic shots, capturing the raw fear in her fellow passengers' eyes. The sound of tearing metal is horrific, like a giant monster ripping open a tin can. They slam into the jungle floor with a sickening crunch of breaking trees and twisting fuselage, a crash that miraculously leaves a few dazed survivors amidst the smoke and flames. It's a brutal, chaotic introduction to Skull Island, a clear message from its monarch. You are not welcome here. The immediate aftermath is a scene of utter devastation. Smoke billows from the multiple crash sites, mingling with the acrid smell of jet fuel and burning jungle. Dazed and injured, the survivors slowly, painfully, pull themselves from the mangled wreckage. Their ears ring from the explosions, their bodies ache, and their minds struggle to comprehend what just happened. The silence that follows the cacophony is almost more terrifying, punctuated only by the distant cries of unknown creatures and the crackling of flames. Packard, his face grim, begins to assess the damage, the loss of his men weighing heavily on him. Randa, still somewhat in shock, tries to piece together what this means for their mission. Weaver, ever the observer, captures the raw fear and confusion in their eyes. The island, once a beautiful mystery, now feels like a living, breathing threat, its true power revealed in a devastating, unforgettable display. It's pretty clear this isn't just a research trip anymore. It's a desperate fight for survival. For Lieutenant Colonel Packard, the massacre is a deeply personal blow. The loss of his men, his squadron, his boys, fuels a furious, burning desire for revenge. His face, usually a mask of calm military stoicism, is now etched with a chilling blend of grief and cold, calculated fury. To him, Kong isn't some mythical creature or an animal protecting its territory. Kong is an enemy combatant who just destroyed his unit. He vows to hunt down and kill the giant ape, seeing it as his duty, his final mission. The metallic scent of blood and burnt metal seems to galvanize his resolve. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about retribution, a soldier's single-minded pursuit of justice for his fallen comrades. You can almost hear the gears turning in his head, planning the offensive, ready to wage war against something far beyond human comprehension. It's a classic human response, but maybe not the smartest one here. With their communication shattered and their numbers drastically reduced, the survivors find themselves at a crossroads, both literally and figuratively. They huddle around a tattered map, the crisp lines now seeming laughably inadequate for this monstrous island. Packard, driven by his thirst for vengeance, wants to head south, believing they can retrieve weapons and equipment from another crash site and then go after Kong, Conrad, and Weaver. However, argue for the north, where they believe the extraction point lies. It's a tense standoff, the jungle's unsettling sounds providing a nerve-wracking soundtrack to their argument. The metallic clink of their remaining weapons feels insignificant against the unseen threats. Ultimately, they decide to split up, a decision that always works out so well in horror movies, doesn't it? One group, under Packard's command, sets off to recover, while the other, guided by Conrad, focuses on escape. What could possibly go wrong? Packard's group, still reeling but resolute, begins their grim trek south. Their primary objective, besides gathering more firepower, is to locate Captain Chapman, one of Packard's pilots, whose helicopter had gone down separately. The jungle is a suffocating labyrinth of colossal trees, dripping foliage, and strange, unsettling noises. The air is thick with humidity and the smell of decay. They find the wreckage of Chapman's helicopter, a twisted mess of metal, but no body. Instead, they discover his shattered spectacles and other personal effects, a chilling sign that he survived the initial crash, but is now truly alone in this monstrous landscape. The discovery fuels Packard's grim determination even further, solidifying his resolve to not leave any man behind, even if it means confronting the very beast that put them in this mess. It's a testament to his loyalty, even if it leads them down a very perilous path. Meanwhile, Conrad's group, consisting of Weaver, Randa, Brooks, and several remaining soldiers, presses northward through an incredibly dense, almost alien bamboo forest. The bamboo stalks here aren't just tall. They're gargantuan, stretching like prehistoric skyscrapers, their immense scale making the humans feel impossibly small. The rustling of the leaves above creates a constant, whispering sound, a natural symphony that feels both beautiful and deeply unsettling. The air is humid and heavy, the light dappled and eerie. Every snapped twig, every sudden shadow, sends a jolt of anxiety through the group. It's a place where the familiar rules of the natural world simply don't apply, a living, breathing labyrinth designed to disorient and intimidate. You can practically hear the subtle creaking of the bamboo, and the feeling of unseen eyes watching their every move is almost palpable, just when you think the bamboo forest is just a pretty backdrop. Things, as they always do on Skull Island, go from zero to oh my god, what is that? In a heartbeat. Without warning, a colossal, camouflaged spider-like creature, later dubbed a skullcrawler, but this one is definitely a spider variant, bursts from the dense foliage. Its enormous, segmented legs, sharp as spears, impale a soldier in a flash, his scream abruptly cut short. The air fills with frantic gunfire, the metallic clatter of bullets against its chitinous hide proving largely ineffective. The creature moves with a horrifying speed and agility, its many eyes gleaming with predatory intent. Another soldier is snatched, his body crushed with sickening ease. The rustling of the bamboo turns into a symphony of terror, punctuated by the rapid pops of gunfire and the guttural roars of the beast. It's a truly visceral, terrifying sequence that reminds everyone just how fragile they are in this monstrous ecosystem. This isn't just big, it's horrifyingly fast and deadly efficient. In the midst of the chaos, Brooks finds himself in a truly precarious position, dangling precariously in the creature's thorny grip, its many eyes studying him with an unnerving intensity. Conrad, ever the quick-thinking operative, and Weaver, her camera momentarily forgotten for a rifle, desperately lay down suppressing fire. The metallic crack of their rifles echoes through the bamboo, the bullets pinging off the creature's thick exoskeleton. They aim for its soft spots, its joints, anything to make it loosen its grip. With a well-placed shot from Conrad, the creature lets out a screech, its grip momentarily slackening, allowing Brooks to tumble free with a grunt of pain. It's a close call, a tense, brutal struggle against an impossible foe, leaving the group shaken and acutely aware that this island is full of things that want them very, very dead. And they're not even the worst of it, folks. Battered and bruised, but alive, Conrad's group continues their journey, eventually stumbling upon an incredibly ancient, primitive village nestled deep within the jungle. The structures are rudimentary yet purposeful, adorned with strange, almost ethereal symbols. The air here is different, quieter, imbued with a sense of deep history and reverence. As they cautiously approach, the Iwi people emerge, their faces painted, their expressions unreadable. They are silent, watchful, observing the strange newcomers with a mixture of curiosity and a deep, ancient wisdom. It's a moment of cultural collision, the modern world meeting a civilization that time forgot. The drumming of their ritualistic rhythms is faint but constant, a heartbeat of the island itself. It's a stark reminder that this isn't just an island of monsters, but also a place where humanity has somehow endured against impossible odds. And then, a truly astonishing development. From within the Iwi village emerges a remarkably spry, if somewhat eccentric, old man with a long, flowing beard. It's Lieutenant Hank Marlowe, the American pilot from the very beginning of the movie. Turns out he survived the crash way back in 1944 and has been living among the Iwi, adapting to the island's brutal challenges for nearly 30 years. His voice, though gravelly with age, carries a distinct American drawl, and he seems utterly delighted to finally see other humans. His appearance is both a revelation and a total mind-bender. Can you imagine? Being stranded on a monster-filled island for decades, basically living in a real-life Lost episode. The sheer grit and resourcefulness it must have taken are almost unimaginable. He's a walking, talking history lesson, and he's about to drop some serious exposition on our confused adventurers. Marlowe, bless his eccentric heart, quickly becomes the group's invaluable, albeit slightly rambling guide. He brings out an incredibly detailed, hand-drawn map of the island, a testament to his decades of meticulous observation. He explains the island's terrifying ecology, revealing that Kong isn't just a random beast. He's the island's protector, the guardian against a far more sinister threat, the Skullcrawlers. Or, as he calls them, Skull Devils. He points out the massive caldera, a graveyard of creatures where the Skull Devils lair. His voice, now serious, describes them as subterranean horrors, the true apex predators. A constant menace to both Kong and the Iwi, he vividly recounts the constant, brutal struggle for dominance, painting a picture of a world locked in eternal, primal warfare. The metallic clink of his old war metal offers a strange comfort against the monstrous tales he spins. It's a chilling revelation, turning their previous encounters into mere appetizers. Marlowe, a true survivor and ingenious tinkerer, leads the group to his cleverly concealed makeshift home, a testament to decades of isolated craftsmanship. It's a marvel of salvaged parts and natural materials tucked away from the prying eyes of the island's more aggressive inhabitants. And then, the real shocker, he reveals a partially rebuilt boat, ingeniously fashioned from the remnants of his own downplane. He's been working on it for years, a slow, painstaking process fueled by the desperate hope of one day returning home. The wood creaks softly as they examine it, a fragile vessel offering a tantalizing glimmer of hope for escape. It's a symbol of endurance, a human spark of ingenuity against the overwhelming power of nature. The metallic clang of tools he's used over the years echoes faintly as he describes his plans, a true testament to the human spirit. Even when faced with giant monsters and literal decades of solitude, all it needs is a few more parts and, well, a whole lot of luck. While Conrad's group is getting schooled in island lore, Packard and his remaining soldiers are on a relentless, grim march. Their path is south, their objective singular. Find Kong, kill Kong. The thick jungle seems to press in on them. It sounds a constant, unnerving symphony of rustles and unseen movements. Each step is heavy, deliberate, their faces hardened by loss and determination. Packard's command is absolute, his tactical mind laser-focused on overcoming this monstrous adversary. He barks orders, his voice cutting through the humid air, pushing his men onward, ignoring the creeping fatigue and the growing sense of dread. The metallic clink of their rifles and the heavy thud of their boots are the only sounds of humanity in this alien landscape. This isn't just a search, it's a crusade fueled by a grief so profound it borders on obsession. He's not just fighting a monster, he's fighting his own demons, and Kong is just the unfortunate target. In a brief, quiet interlude, we're offered a glimpse of Kong not as a rampaging force of nature, but as a majestic, almost serene entity. He stands by a colossal waterfall, its roaring cascade dwarfed by his immense presence, dipping his head to drink. The water splashes gently against his powerful snout, a moment of tranquil reflection in an otherwise brutal world. It's a stark contrast to the destructive power he wielded earlier, reminding us that he isn't inherently malicious. He's a creature acting on instinct, protecting his territory and, as we'll soon learn, his role as protector. The sounds of the jungle seem to soften around him, a temporary truce in the constant struggle for survival. It's a powerful visual, showcasing the true king of this island in a moment of untroubled peace, making it all the more tragic when the humans inevitably disturb it. Marlowe, acting as their impromptu tour guide through the island's horrors, leads Conrad's group into a truly macabre landscape. The Boneyard. It's a vast valley littered with the colossal skeletons of creatures beyond imagination, monstrous bones, enormous rib cages, and massive skulls bleached white by the sun. The air here is still, heavy with the scent of ancient decay, and a chilling silence, broken only by the crunch of their boots on ancient bone fragments. It's a graveyard on an epic scale, a terrifying monument to the island's brutal, ongoing war between its inhabitants. This isn't just a place of death. It's a stark reminder of the sheer, raw power of the Skull Devils and their relentless hunger. Weaver, her camera clicking silently, tries to capture the horrifying beauty of it all, but some sights are just too overwhelming for a lens. You can almost feel the echoes of titanic battles that once raged across this desolate plain, just as Marlowe is explaining the dangers of the Skullcrawlers. One decides to make a rather dramatic entrance. With a sudden, explosive rupture of the earth, a massive skull devil bursts from beneath the ground, its grotesque, tooth-filled maw snapping shut on an unsuspecting soldier in a gruesome, sickening crunch. His scream is abruptly cut short. The ground trembles, dust flies, and panic sets in as the group scatters, firing wildly at the nightmare creature. Its speed is astonishing for its size, a blur of gray, reptilian scales and razor-sharp claws. The metallic clatter of their weapons sounds pitifully inadequate against its thick hide. It's a truly terrifying creature, all teeth and brute force, a primal predator that embodies pure, unadulterated menace. This isn't just a monster. It's a living, breathing nightmare, and it confirms everything Marlowe has been trying to warn them about. This thing makes Kong look like a fluffy puppy by comparison, and that's saying something. After a terrifying close call with the Skull Devil, Marlowe takes the opportunity to properly explain the island's brutal hierarchy. He points to ancient Iwi cave paintings depicting the epic, generational war between Kong's species and the ravenous Skullcrawlers. His voice drops, almost a reverence in his tone, as he explains that Kong is the last of his kind, the sole survivor, the remaining guardian against these subterranean nightmares. The paintings show titanic battles, the ground shaking, the roar of ancient apes echoing through the caverns. He describes how the Skullcrawlers are constantly trying to break through to the surface, and Kong is the only thing stopping them from devouring the entire island, and possibly the world beyond. The metallic scritch of his finger tracing the ancient carvings brings the story to life. It's a heavy burden, a king protecting his kingdom from a truly existential threat, and suddenly, the bad guy ape from earlier gains a whole lot more nuance and sympathy. He's not a monster. He's the planet's last line of defense. Who knew? While our main group is learning about island lore, we cut to poor Captain Chapman, completely alone and rapidly losing his grip on reality. Lost and disoriented after the crash, he's been wandering the jungle for days, his mind playing tricks on him. The metallic sheen of his dog tags glints faintly in the oppressive jungle light. He's hallucinating, seeing visions of his family, desperately trying to find his way out. But the island has other plans. A skull devil lurking in the shadows has been stalking him. Cornered and utterly defenseless, his desperate cries are swallowed by the jungle as the monstrous creature finally pounces, its massive jaws closing round him with a sickening crunch. His fate is sealed, a brutal, horrifying end that solidifies the island's unforgiving nature. It's a stark reminder that not everyone gets a heroic escape, and this place really doesn't care about your military training or your personal story. Just crunch. With the stark reality of the Skull Devils firmly established, the group's focus shifts entirely to escape. Marlowe, taking charge with the wisdom of a seasoned survivor, outlines his plan. They'll use his rebuilt boat to navigate the island's treacherous rivers, hoping to reach the northern extraction point. He spreads his well-worn map on the ground, tracing the winding river paths with a weathered finger, highlighting potential dangers and treacherous rapids. The metallic creak of his old pocket watch provides a subtle rhythm to his urgent instructions. He explains the nuances of the currents, the hidden hazards, and the best ways to avoid encounters with the island's many dangers. It's a risky plan, certainly, but it's their only shot. The air crackles with a desperate hope, a fragile thread woven into the fabric of their terrifying predicament. They're no longer exploring, they're fleeing, and Marlowe is their only beacon dot with their plan solidified. The group wastes no time, they carefully, painstakingly push Marlowe's jury-rigged boat into the murky river, the wood groaning softly as it takes to the water. The metallic clank of their weapons being stowed echoes. The dense jungle presses in on both sides, a vibrant, terrifying tunnel of green. The air is thick with humidity and the earthy scent of the river as they begin their journey. Upstream, the sounds of the island become their constant companion, the chirping of unknown insects, the distant calls of unseen creatures, and the gentle lapping of the water against the hull. Every ripple, every shadow, holds the potential for danger. It's a slow, tense progression, each paddle stroke carrying them further into the heart of the island's mysteries, and hopefully, closer to freedom. This is not your average sightseeing river cruise, that's for sure. Just when you think a peaceful river journey is a possibility, Skull Island reminds you that peaceful is not in its vocabulary. The tranquility is shattered by a sudden, ear-splitting shriek from above. A swarm of giant, pterodactyl-like creatures, dubbed leafwings, descends upon them with a furious rush of leathery wings and razor-sharp talons. The air fills with frantic gunfire, the metallic crack of rifles trying to fend off the aerial assault. These things are fast, agile, and relentlessly aggressive. Diving from the sky like feathered missiles, their screeching cries are piercing. Adding to the terrifying cacophony, soldiers fire desperately, trying to protect the boat, but the sheer numbers and speed of the leafwings make it a chaotic, desperate struggle, the thud of a body hitting the deck, the splash of one being knocked into the water. It's a brutal, close-quarters battle against flying nightmares. This island really throws everything at you, doesn't it? In the midst of the frantic leafwing assault, Bill Randa, the man who started this whole crazy expedition, meets his tragic end. A leafwing snatches him from the boat, its talons digging deep. He lets out a desperate gasp, His attempts to fight back futile against the creature's strength. He's pulled beneath the murky water with a sudden splash. His struggles growing weaker before finally ceasing, his life and his obsession with discovering the unknown extinguished in a brutal, quick moment. The metallic clink of his fallen spectacles on the deck goes unheard in the chaos. It's a harsh reminder that even the orchestrators of these grand adventures are not immune to the island's brutal, indiscriminate justice. His mission, his life's work, abruptly and tragically cut short. Just another casualty in Skull Island's relentless war of attrition. Meanwhile, Packard, still consumed by vengeance, is meticulously setting a deadly trap for Kong. He's found a large lake, a natural choke point, and his men are planting explosives. With grim efficiency, their metallic tools clinking as they work. The air is thick with the smell of wet earth and gunpowder. His plan is simple, yet brutally effective. Lure Kong into the water, detonate the charges, and then finish the beast off. Some of his remaining soldiers, their faces etched with doubt, question the sanity of fighting a creature of Kong's magnitude. But Packard is resolute, his voice unwavering, fueled by a single-minded determination. He sees Kong as nothing more than a target, an enemy to be eliminated. Blind to the larger ecological balance at play, this is a man pushed to his absolute limit, willing to sacrifice anything, even himself, for what he believes is justice. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You know it's going to be bad. As Conrad's group continues their frantic push northward, they catch sight of Kong in the distance. He's moving slowly, majestically, utterly unaware of the deadly snare laid out for him. He's heading straight for the lake, straight for Packard's trap. A collective gasp escapes the group, the realization hitting them with chilling clarity. They have to warn Packard. Not just for Kong's sake, but for their own survival. The metallic thud of their running boots echoes through the jungle as they race against time, desperately trying to avert a catastrophe. Weaver, her breath catching in her throat, knows this collision is inevitable if they don't intervene. It's a race against human folly. A desperate scramble to stop one man's vendetta from unleashing even greater devastation. Sometimes the biggest monsters aren't the ones with fangs and claws. And then it happens. Kong, unsuspecting, lumbers into the lake. With a mighty splash, his colossal foot triggers the tripwires, and the entire area erupts in a series of earth-shattering explosions. The water churns violently, spraying high into the air, illuminated by flashes of orange and white. The concussive blast sends shockwaves through the entire valley, the sound a deafening roar that rattles your bones. Kong lets out a cry of pain and confusion, stunned by the sudden, overwhelming assault. He struggles against the tangle of wires and nets that erupt from the lake bed, desperately trying to break free. The metallic groan of the cables stretching to their limit is almost as chilling as Kong's pain grunts. Packard watches with grim satisfaction, his plan perfectly executed. It's a brutal sight. A majestic creature brought low by human ingenuity and, let's be honest, a touch of arrogance. You almost feel sorry for the big guy, even after all the helicopters he smashed. Just as Packard is about to deliver the killing blow, Conrad and Weaver burst onto the scene, their faces grim, their voices urgent. They confront Packard, guns drawn, trying desperately to make him see reason. Conrad pleads with him, explaining Marlowe's revelation about Kong's role as the island's protector, the only defense against the Skullcrawlers. Weaver adds her voice, stressing the ecological catastrophe his actions would cause. But Packard, his eyes burning with vengeful fire, refuses to listen. The metallic click of their safeties being released hangs heavy in the air. His grief and single-minded pursuit of retribution have blinded him to any other truth. He sees only the monster that killed his men, and he's not about to let it live. It's a tense, heartbreaking standoff, humanity fighting itself while a colossal beast struggles for its life. Talk about adding insult to injury. As the standoff between Conrad and Packard intensifies, Kong, still ensnared and gravely wounded, lets out a series of pain, guttural roars. He struggles against the massive chains and nets, the metallic groan of the materials straining under his efforts. In a truly profound moment, his gaze locks onto Weaver. There's a raw, almost pleading look in his eyes, a desperate communication that transcends species. It's a silent cry for help, an understanding that he is not just fighting Packard, but also the encroaching Skullcrawlers, whose tremors they can now feel. The ground rumbles ominously, confirming Marlowe's warnings. Weaver, feeling the primal weight of his distress, knows she has to do something. It's a powerful, empathetic connection that cuts through the noise of human conflict, highlighting Kong's intelligence and his unexpected vulnerability. This isn't just an animal. It's a sentient being fighting for its life, and for the life of the island. Despite Conrad's passionate pleas and Weaver's direct intervention, Packard remains unyielding. His eyes, now completely consumed by vengeance, are locked on Kong, with a final, chilling resolve. He drops a live grenade, intending to detonate the remaining explosives directly beneath the giant ape. The metallic clink of the pin hitting the ground echoes with a sinister finality. Conrad and Weaver react instantly, trying to intercept, but it's too late. Packard stands his ground, sacrificing himself, a grim look of satisfaction on his face, believing he's finally avenged his men. The ensuing explosion is absolutely thunderous, a concussive blast that sends dirt and debris flying skyward. It's an act of ultimate, misguided sacrifice, a soldier's final, desperate attempt to win his war against an impossible enemy. The entire scene pulsates with raw, tragic energy, showcasing the destructive power of human obstinacy. A tragic end to a man whose good intentions were ultimately warped by grief. Miraculously, Kong, though wounded and clearly in immense pain, survives Packard's final, desperate attack. With a monumental surge of strength, he tears free from the remaining chains and nets, the metallic shrieks of snapping steel echoing through the valley. His roar is no longer one of pain, but of pure, untamed defiance, a guttural challenge thrown into the very heart of the island. He rises from the water, dripping and regal, his eyes now blazing with a fierce determination. The ground trembles not from his rage, but from the approaching menace of the Skullcrawlers. He knows what's coming. He turns his gaze, not to the fleeing humans, but to the deeper, more primal threat. He's the protector and his kingdom is under attack. It's a truly epic moment of resilience, reminding everyone just who the true king of this island really is. And trust me, you don't want to be on the wrong side of that roar. Just as Kong reclaims his footing, the true antagonist makes its grand entrance. With a cataclysmic rupture of the earth, the colossal alpha skull devil, an absolute nightmare of teeth, claws, and sheer reptilian menace, bursts from the ground. Its immense size is jaw-dropping, even dwarfing Kong, its grotesque, featureless face screaming primordial terror. The air fills with its ear-splitting screech, a sound that vibrates in your chest and makes your blood run cold. Its monstrous form, all sharp angles and sinewy muscle, is utterly horrifying, a truly perfect design for a creature of pure destruction. This isn't just another monster. This is the monster, the biggest, baddest skull devil in the whole darn boneyard. The earth shakes with its every move, announcing its deadly presence. Get ready, folks, because the main event is about to begin, and it's going to be a slobber knocker. And then, the moment we've all been waiting for, Kong charges. With a thunderous roar, he meets the alpha skull devil head-on, initiating a titanic clash that shakes the very foundations of Skull Island. The metallic clang of their bodies colliding, the guttural roars, the sickening wet thud of monstrous fists against reptilian flesh. It's a symphony of primal violence. Kong uses his brute strength, raining down massive punches, trying to overpower the creature. The skull devil, however, is relentlessly agile, snapping and biting with its razor-sharp teeth, its long, prehensile tail whipping through the air like a deadly whip. Trees are uprooted, rocks are pulverized, and the landscape itself becomes a casualty of their epic brawl. The humans, reduced to terrified spectators, watch in awe and horror as these two ancient forces of nature fight to the death. You can almost feel the ground vibrating beneath your feet, the sheer kinetic energy of their battle absolutely overwhelming. This isn't just a fight. It's a war for dominance, a true spectacle of monster versus monster. The battle rages on, a relentless dance of destruction. Kong, realizing the Skull Devil's vulnerability to water, grapples with the creature, attempting to drag it towards the murky depths of the lake. The metallic shriek of their claws scraping against rock, the guttural roars of effort and defiance, fill the air. With immense effort, Kong manages to wrestle the Skull Devil's head underwater, holding it down, trying to drown the beast. But the Skull Devil is no easy foe. It thrashes violently, its powerful limbs tearing at Kong, its tail whipping furiously, creating massive splashes that drench the landscape. It's a desperate struggle for dominance, each titan pushing the other to their absolute limits. The water turns into a violent froth, a testament to the raw power unleashed. Just when you think Kong has the upper hand, the Skull Devil always finds a way to surprise you, reminding us that this isn't just a big fight. It's a fight to the death, where anything can happen. They're practically having a wrestling match, but with way more teeth. Just as Kong seems to be losing ground, struggling against the Skull Devil's relentless attacks, Weaver, showing incredible courage, intervenes. She grabs a flare gun and fires it directly into the Skull Devil's face. The bright, searing light and the metallic hiss of the flare temporarily disorient the creature. Drawing its attention away from Kong, it lets out an enraged shriek, momentarily confused by this tiny, persistent annoyance. This small act of defiance buys Kong a crucial few seconds, a chance to gather his strength and land a devastating counterattack. It's a testament to the unexpected heroism of the humans, proving that even against titans, a bit of clever thinking can make a difference. The bright red flare burns against the monster's grotesque face, a beacon of human intervention in a world of giants. Sometimes, even a little spark can turn the tide in a monster battle, especially if that monster is easily distracted by shiny things. Revitalized by Weaver's distraction, Kong grabs a massive, rusted ship propeller from the debris-strewn landscape. With a guttural roar, he wields it as a makeshift weapon, swinging the enormous, sharp blades with incredible force. The metallic clang of the propeller striking the Skull Devil's hide sends vibrations through the air, causing the creature to recoil with pain shrieks. It's a raw, powerful display of ingenuity and brute strength, turning human wreckage into a tool of titanic combat. He smashes, slashes, and pushes the Skull Devil back, turning the tide of the battle with each devastating blow. The ground trembles with the impact of their renewed struggle, and the air is thick with the dust of destruction. This isn't just a fight anymore. It's a desperate, last-ditch effort by Kong to protect his home, his domain, and the fragile balance of Skull Island. He's basically saying, "You want a piece of me? Come and get it, but I've got a propeller." In the ultimate, gruesome climax, Kong finally gains the upper hand. He pins the thrashing Skull Devil down, its pain screeches echoing across the ravaged landscape. With a final, monumental surge of strength and a guttural roar of pure triumph, Kong brutally rips out the Skull Devil's tongue and entrails. The metallic tearing sound is sickening, followed by a torrent of black blood on the creature's final, shuddering gasp as it finally succumbs. The colossal beast lies motionless, defeated, its reign of terror over. The air, once filled with the cacophony of battle, now settles into an eerie, almost reverent silence. Kong stands triumphant, breathing heavily, wounded but victorious, his chest heaving, his powerful presence undeniable. He's proven once and for all who the true king of Skull Island is. It's a visceral, unforgettable moment that leaves you both awestruck and slightly queasy. Talk about a nasty way to go, but hey, it's a monster movie. What did you expect? A handshake? After the dust settles and the monstrous threat is vanquished, the few remaining survivors, Conrad, Weaver, Marlowe, and a handful of soldiers, gather on a beach. Utterly exhausted but profoundly relieved, the metallic whirring of a distant helicopter provides a welcome sound, a beacon of hope after so much despair. As the rescue chopper descends, its blades kicking up sand, a collective sigh of relief escapes them. They faced impossible odds, witnessed unimaginable horrors, and emerged from a place that defied all logic. Marlowe, his dream of returning home finally realized, beams with a mix of joy and disbelief. It's a bittersweet departure, leaving Kong behind as the island's sole, magnificent, and unchallenged guardian. The island, once a symbol of terror, now feels like a place of awe, its mysteries forever etched into their minds. They are leaving, but the experience will surely haunt them, probably for all their therapy sessions to come. Back in civilization, Conrad and Weaver find themselves undergoing a rather intense debriefing by Monarch agents. They're shown classified files, tantalizing snippets of information that expand the scope of their terrifying adventure far beyond. Skull Island. The metallic click of projectors and the hushed tones of the agents create an air of secretive revelation. Monarch, it turns out, is aware of many other titans, colossal creatures hidden across the globe, each a potential threat, each a mystery waiting to be unveiled. They're warned that Kong is not alone, that there are other ancient beings stirring, other apex predators lurking in the shadows of humanity's perceived dominance. It's a tantalizing tease, a clear indication that their journey was just a prologue to a much larger, more monstrous story. The world, they now realize, is far more complex and dangerous than they ever imagined, and you thought your Monday morning meeting was tough. And for those who stuck around, the post-credits scene truly delivers. Monarch agents show Conrad and Weaver undeniable archival footage of other titans. The screen flickers with glimpses of familiar, yet terrifying, silhouettes, the unmistakable roar of Godzilla, the majestic flight of Rodan, the ethereal beauty of Mothra, and the terrifying, multi-headed terror of King Ghidorah. Each metallic click of the slide projector reveals another piece of this grand, terrifying puzzle. It's a pure adrenaline shot, a clear and exhilarating promise of what's to come in the monsterverse. The sheer scale and variety of these creatures are mind-boggling, confirming that Kong's world is just one small part of a much larger, more ancient ecosystem of giants. The universe just got a whole lot bigger and a whole lot more dangerous, and let's be honest, who doesn't love a good monster mashup, right? It leaves you absolutely buzzing for the next installment, and that, my friends, brings us to the end of our colossal journey through Kong, Skull Island. This movie isn't just a spectacle of monster-on-monster action, it's a poignant exploration of humanity's place in a world far older and grander than we often imagine. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest threats aren't the monsters we fear, but the arrogance and vengeance within ourselves. Kong, the Protector, stands as a symbol of wild, untamed nature, a necessary force to maintain balance. The film beautifully sets the stage for a universe teeming with titans, leaving us with a sense of awe and excitement for the battles yet to come. It's a reminder to respect the world around us, and maybe, just maybe, not to drop bombs on uncharted islands. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the monsterverse. Today we're diving headfirst into the colossal chaos that is 2017's Kong, Skull Island. We're talking monstrous action, stunning visuals, and a whole lot of note moments for our human protagonists. This isn't just a monster movie. It's a vibrant, terrifying trip back to a primal world where humanity is definitely not at the top of the food chain. We kick things off with a dramatic WWII dogfight over an uncharted island, leading to two pilots, one American, one Japanese, crash landing and getting an immediate, giant, hairy surprise. Before you head off, if you're enjoying the kind of content I make, please consider liking and subscribing. No pressure, but it truly helps me keep the action coming. Fast forward to 1973 as the Vietnam War winds down. Enter Bill Randa, a grizzled old-school scientist working for the clandestine organization Monarch, who believes there are undiscovered creatures hidden from the modern world. He's got a new lead, a perpetually storm-shrouded island, recently revealed by advanced satellite imagery, which he's dramatically dubbed Skull Island. Randa, with the help of a seismologist named Houston Brooks, manages to convince a senator, who frankly looks like he'd rather be golfing, to fund an expedition. Their goal? Map the island before any other nation can, and maybe, just maybe, uncover some ancient mysteries. You know, standard what could possibly go wrong fare. To navigate this storm-cloaked enigma, Randa knows he can't just waltz in. he recruits James Conrad, a British SAS veteran and tracker extraordinaire, whose specialty is getting people into places they probably shouldn't be. Next up is Mason Weaver, an intrepid anti-war photojournalist who, for some reason, decides trading war zones for an unknown island full of things is a brilliant career move. And because you can't explore a potentially hostile, uncharted island without some serious firepower, they're assigned a military escort, a detachment of battle-hardened helicopter pilots and soldiers led by the steely-eyed Colonel Preston Packard. He's fresh off Vietnam and looking for one last hurrah. Or maybe just another fight to win, because apparently, peace is overrated. The team sets off, a flotilla of helicopters slicing through the Vietnamese skies, heading straight for the storm that constantly hides Skull Island. The mood on board is a mix of veteran bravado and nervous excitement. Colonel Packard, ever the pragmatist, is more concerned with securing the perimeter than any scientific discovery, especially after losing good men in Nam. Meanwhile, Weaver is already snapping photos, capturing the soldiers' grim determination, while Conrad just silently observes, his instincts already screaming at him. The atmosphere inside those choppers is thick with anticipation and the thrumming roar of rotors, a truly deafening prelude to the utter chaos that's about to engulf them. Upon reaching the island's tempestuous edge, they penetrate the eye of the storm, revealing a breathtaking, untouched landscape below. But before anyone can appreciate the view, Randa initiates his controversial seismic mapping strategy. Large, thundering charges are dropped from the helicopters, detonating with earth-shattering force. Each explosion sends shockwaves not just through the ground, but through the very air, rippling across the lush, ancient foliage. The ground beneath them literally rumbles, cracks appearing as if the island itself is protesting their unwelcome intrusion. It's a calculated assault designed to map the subsurface, but it's also effectively ringing a giant dinner bell for anything large and territorial hiding below. And that dinner bell? Oh, it worked! The ground heaves once more, but this time, it's not from a bomb. A colossal hand covered in dark fur erupts from the jungle canopy, swatting a helicopter out of the sky like it's a pesky mosquito. The deafening thud of metal twisting and tearing fills the air, quickly followed by the shriek of turbine engines failing. Then he rises, a colossal ape, an island god, his roar shaking the very bones of everyone present. Kong, the legendary monster, is real and he is not happy. He moves with a terrifying grace, tearing choppers from the sky, crushing them underfoot, sending soldiers plummeting to their doom. The air is thick with the thunder of explosions and the desperate screams of men, a symphony of destruction as the expedition is torn to shreds. The devastating attack leaves the expedition fractured. What's left of the helicopter fleet is scattered across the island, twisted metal and burning wreckage smoking ominously. The survivors are split into several desperate, bewildered groups, crash-landed and disoriented in a terrifyingly alien environment. The cacophony of explosions has subsided, replaced by the unsettling chirps and rustles of the jungle, a silence that somehow feels even more menacing. Bodies are strewn about, a grim testament to Kong's power, and those who remain are left scrambling for their lives, their radios crackling with static. Their mission now a desperate fight for survival. Panic sets in, the reality of their situation slamming home with the force of Kong's fist. Colonel Packard, having lost most of his men and his entire helicopter squadron, is absolutely seething. The roar of battle may have faded, but the rage in his eyes burns fiercely. For him, Kong isn't a force of nature or a misunderstood guardian. He's the enemy who massacred his soldiers, and he demands retribution. He's a man forged in conflict, and the concept of unbeatable isn't in his dictionary. He gathers his remaining shell-shocked troops, his voice grim and resolute, shifting their primary objective from rendezvous and extract to hunt and kill. This giant ape has just made a very powerful, very angry enemy, and Packard isn't one to back down from a fight, even if it's against a creature that could casually flick him into orbit. Meanwhile, one of the scattered groups, including Randa, Brooks, and San, quickly discovers that Kong isn't the only local wildlife on Skull Island. As they navigate a dense bamboo forest, The ground beneath them feels squishy. Then Houston Brooks, ever the sharp scientist, notices something profoundly wrong with a tree. The bamboo itself seems to shift, revealing a colossal, multi-legged arachnid. The infamous spore mantis, perfectly camouflaged. Its massive, hairy legs unfold with an unsettling click-clack, and its fangs gleam menacingly. The air crackles with tension, not from an explosion, but from the sudden, horrifying realization that every step they take could be their last. It's a truly visceral moment, reminding them that on Skull Island, even the plants are trying to eat you. Elsewhere on the island, Conrad, Weaver, and their small band of survivors stumble upon a truly ancient spectacle, a primitive village, surrounded by a massive, weathered wall built from giant bones. This is the home of the Iwi, the island's indigenous people, who communicate mostly through gestures and enigmatic paintings. They're a silent, stoic people, seemingly unfazed by the giants living around them. The atmosphere inside the village is eerie yet strangely peaceful, a stark contrast to the death-defying jungle outside. The murals on their cave walls depict not just Kong, but also terrifying, reptilian creatures, offering the first clues to the island's true ancient history and the colossal balance of power that exists here. It's like stepping into a living, breathing history book, albeit one with very sharp teeth, asterisk, and then, from out of nowhere, a grizzled, wild-eyed old man bursts into their lives, wielding a spear with surprising agility. This is Hank Marlowe, a U.S. Air Force pilot who crash-landed here during WWII, along with his Japanese rival, Gunpei. For 28 years, this man has been surviving and somehow thriving on Skull Island. He's a hilarious, rambling fount of information, equal parts madman and sage. His rival is a much-needed dose of comic relief amidst the dread, cracking jokes about his diet of bugs and roots and his unexpected longevity. He's essentially the island's unofficial, self-appointed tour guide, though his tours mostly involve running from things that want to eat you. Marlowe, after a good old-fashioned American and Japanese reunion, drops the real bombshell. He explains that Kong isn't the villain here, folks. He's the benevolent protector, the king, a lonely god keeping the island's true horrors at bay. The real big bads, the creatures that make Kong look like a cuddly puppy, are the Skullcrawlers. These subterranean, two-legged reptilian monstrosities are the reason for the island's barren boneyard and the constant threat to the iwi. He describes them as creatures of pure hunger, relentlessly seeking to feast on anything with a pulse. It's like getting a horror movie explanation from a guy who's actually lived in one for decades. Chilling doesn't even begin to cover it, asterisk, with Marlowe as their eccentric but invaluable guide. The scattered groups decide to try and link up at a prearranged extraction point on the north side of the island. Marlowe knows the way, having charted much of the island during his impromptu, decades-long vacation. The journey ahead is a gauntlet of unknown dangers, from treacherous terrain to unseen predators. They're no longer explorers. They're desperate escapees, every rustle in the leaves sending shivers down their spines. The vast, untamed wilderness of Skull Island looms, a beautiful but deadly maze where every turn could lead to a new, horrifying encounter. It's a race against time and against the island itself to reach the northern tip before they become permanent residents. During their arduous trek, they must cross a wide, murky lake, which, of course, is home to another delightful surprise, a colossal mire squid. This tentacled terror, resembling a squirming, aquatic nightmare, erupts from the depths, ensnaring a helicopter blade and dragging soldiers to their doom. Just as the group thinks their number is up, a shadow falls over them, and with a thunderous roar, Kong emerges from the jungle, a protective rage in his eyes. He dives into the water, engaging the monstrous cephalopod in a brutal wrestling match, its slimy tentacles flailing wildly. With a powerful, gut-wrenching yank, Kong tears the mire squid from the lake, shattering its head with his powerful fists. It's a spectacular, slimy display, confirming that sometimes your only hope is the biggest guy on the block. As if giant apes and squids weren't enough. The island also boasts a charming array of smaller, yet equally deadly, creatures. While navigating a particularly eerie section of the jungle, they encounter a swarm of leafwings nasty, pterosaur-like beasts with razor-sharp beaks and a territorial streak. These aren't just annoying. They're aggressive, swooping and diving with chilling precision. To add to the fun, they stumble upon a field of colossal, carnivorous plants, their gaping maws snapping shut with alarming speed, like Venus flytraps on steroids. The air is filled with the frantic flapping of wings and the chilling snap of giant plant jaws, forcing the group into a desperate, heart-pounding dash for safety. It's truly a choose-your-poison kind of situation. Only all the poisons are trying to eat you. Amidst all the mayhem, Mason Weaver, the photojournalist, gets a rare glimpse into Kong's softer side. She finds him by a serene lake at sunset, peacefully interacting with a massive skerbuffalo, a creature resembling a giant, moss-covered ox. Kong gently bathes himself, a surprisingly tender display of vulnerability. Weaver, ever the observer, captures this breathtaking moment, realizing that Kong isn't just a force of destruction, but a majestic, almost melancholic being. It's a quiet, reflective scene that humanizes the colossal ape, reminding us that there's more to him than just the primal roar. It's like watching a grizzly bear gently scratch his back on a tree, but, you know, a million times bigger and with way more gravitas. Following Marlowe's guidance, the group eventually enters the fabled boneyard, a vast, desolate valley littered with the colossal skeletal remains of creatures beyond imagination. This isn't just a graveyard. It's a terrifying testament to Skull Island's brutal history, hinting at untold battles between titans. The sheer scale of the bones, some larger than houses, is mind-boggling, giving the entire area an ominous, otherworldly feel. Every step echoes hollowly on the cracked earth, and the air hangs heavy with a sense of ancient dread. It's the kind of place where you instinctively whisper, even though there's nothing but bone-chilling silence. And your instincts are usually right on this island, and of course, the boneyard isn't just for looking. Suddenly, without warning, the ground erupts. A smaller, but still terrifyingly large, Skullcrawler bursts forth, its piercing shriek echoing through the valley. It moves with alarming speed, its forked tongue flicking, its powerful limbs scuttling across the bones. The soldiers open fire, the rapid crack of automatic weapons doing little more than annoy the beast. More Skullcrawlers emerge, turning the valley into a frantic, terrifying arena. It's a pure adrenaline rush, a brutal, close-quarters combat against creatures that seem impossible to kill. The air fills with frantic shouts, desperate gunfire, and the sickening sound of snapping bones. As several more soldiers meet their grisly end, during the chaotic Skullcrawler attack, Marlowe has a vivid flashback. We're transported back to 1944, seeing a younger, slightly less unhinged Marlowe stranded on the island with his enemy, Gunpei. Their bitter WWII rivalry is quickly overshadowed by a much larger, more immediate threat, a Skullcrawler. The sheer terror of the creature forces the two adversaries to put aside their differences, if only for a moment, to fight for their lives. It's a surprisingly heartwarming, yet utterly terrifying, scene showing that even in the midst of war, a shared giant monster problem can unite the most unlikely of allies. The sounds of their desperate grunts and the beast's guttural growls are punctuated by the clang of their makeshift weapons, a stark reminder of the island's brutal, timeless cycle of survival, unbeknownst to the other group. Colonel Packard and his dwindling, but fiercely loyal squad are meticulously setting a deadly trap. His thirst for vengeance has consumed him, turning him into a single-minded instrument of destruction. They've discovered a deep ravine and decided it's the perfect spot to finally bring down the king. They methodically pour barrels of napalm, a fiery liquid death, into the chasm, creating a vast, inescapable inferno waiting to ignite. Packard's face is a mask of grim determination, convinced that this is the only way to honor his fallen men. The air buzzes with the quiet, menacing hum of their preparations, a chilling prelude to the explosive confrontation that's about to erupt. The trap is set, and it's brutally effective. Packard's men manage to lure Kong into the ravine, and with a terrifying flick of a switch, the napalm ignites. A blinding flash, followed by a deafening whoosh and a concussive blast, engulfs the chasm in a raging inferno. Kong's roar of agony tears through the island, a sound of pure pain and disbelief. His massive body is engulfed in flames, and he struggles desperately against the searing heat and chemical burns. It's a visceral, heartbreaking moment, witnessing the mighty Kong brought low by human ingenuity and vengeance. The fire crackles and spits, casting monstrous shadows, as the king of Skull Island is pushed to the brink of death. You almost expect to hear a sad trombone sound effect. It's that tragic, with Kong seemingly defeated, lying wounded and smoldering in the ravine, Packard descends, pistol in hand, to deliver the coup de grace. His face is a mix of grim satisfaction and unyielding resolve. He believes he's finally brought justice for his men, a twisted form of triumph in the face of such overwhelming loss. Weaver desperately tries to intervene, pleading with him to see reason, to understand Kong's true role. The air is thick with the smell of napalm and burning fur, the silence punctuated only by Kong's ragged breaths. But just as Packard raises his weapon for the final, decisive shot, the ground beneath them begins to tremble, a far more ancient and sinister threat making its grand entrance. It's the kind of timing that makes you roll your eyes, but also gasp in terror. The ground splits open with an earth-shattering roar, and from the depths emerges a creature of pure nightmare, the mother of all Skullcrawlers, Ramrak. This isn't just another oversized lizard. This thing is monstrous, easily twice the size of the others, with a skeletal face and an insatiable hunger radiating from its very being. Its piercing shriek, a guttural screech that rattles your teeth, announces its terrifying presence. The air pressure seems to drop, the shadows lengthen, and even the severely wounded Kong looks up with a mixture of fear and primal hatred. This is the island's true apex predator, the one Kong has been fighting his entire life. And its sudden appearance effectively halts Packard's vendetta, replacing it with a far more immediate and terrifying problem for everyone. Ramrak wastes no time in asserting its dominance. Its massive, skeletal head swings through the area like a wrecking ball, instantly obliterating Packard's remaining, terrified soldiers. The sound of tearing flesh and crunching bones is sickeningly efficient. Packard, utterly blindsided by this new, far greater threat, attempts to retaliate, but his human weapons are useless against such a monstrous foe. In a swift, brutal movement, Ramrak scoops up the colonel in its massive jaws, swallowing him whole. It's a chillingly swift end for a man who, moments before, believed he held all the power. The Skullcrawler's casual brutality serves as a stark reminder of humanity's insignificance in the face of true primal power. No amount of napalm or military might could prepare them for this beast. With Packard gone, and the extraction point rapidly approaching for the survivors, the real main event begins: Kong versus Ramrak. Despite his severe burns and immense pain, Kong, driven by instinct and his role as guardian, rises to face his ancient foe. The two titans clash with earth-shattering force, their roars echoing across the island. It's a raw, visceral brawl, a desperate struggle for survival and supremacy. Kong, though still weakened, unleashes furious blows, the impact sounding like thunderclaps. Ramrak, however, is a formidable adversary, moving with terrifying speed and precision for its size, its razor-sharp claws raking against Kong's fur. Every punch, every bite, every slam against the ground resonates with monumental power. The battle is intense and Kong is struggling. Seeing her chance to help, Mason Weaver, the photojournalist, performs an incredibly brave, albeit reckless, act. She grabs a flare, that iconic red stick of defiance, and with surprising accuracy, hurls it directly into Ramrak's open eye. The creature recoils with a furious shriek of pain, its focus momentarily diverted from Kong. This small but significant act of human courage gives Kong a crucial window to recover, to gather his strength, and to reassess his strategy. It's a powerful moment, showing that even the smallest creature can make a difference in a fight between giants, especially when one of those giants is having a very bad day and the other just got a flare to the face. With his temporary reprieve, Kong looks around, his eyes scanning for anything to turn the tide. His gaze falls upon the wreckage of an old ship, its propeller still largely intact. With a mighty roar and a Herculean heave, Kong tears the colossal propeller from its moorings, wielding it like a gargantuan club. The metallic clang as he swings it against Ramarak's skull echoes across the landscape, a sound that makes your teeth ache. It's an incredible display of both strength and unexpected intelligence, showing that Kong isn't just a brute force. He's a tactical combatant, capable of adapting and using his environment to his advantage. This isn't just a brawl. It's a giant-sized game of who can find the biggest stick. As the Titan battle rages, tearing the very island apart, Conrad, Marlowe, and the few remaining survivors are locked in their own desperate race against time and collapsing terrain. They scramble through the quaking landscape, dodging falling debris and the titanic blows exchanged by Kong and Ramarak. Every step is a gamble, every shadow a potential predator. Marlowe, despite his age, moves with surprising agility, his decades of survival instincts kicking in. The sound of the approaching extraction helicopter is their beacon of hope, its rotors a distant promise of salvation amidst the chaos. It's a heart-pounding sprint, a frantic human struggle against the backdrop of a god-level wrestling match, proving that even a small human can book it when. Motivated by giant monsters, the fight between Kong and Ramarak takes an even more dramatic turn as their titanic struggle sends them crashing into the turbulent waters. The surface boils and churns, obscuring much of the action, but the sound of massive splashes, gurgling roars, and heavy impacts still reverberates. Underwater, the battle is even more savage, a swirling maelstrom of claws, teeth, and raw power. Kong, usually a formidable aquatic combatant, finds himself at a slight disadvantage against Ramarak's natural amphibious abilities. The water turns cloudy with mud and debris, making it a terrifying, claustrophobic ballet of death beneath the waves. It's truly an every stroke counts kind of fight, as they vie for dominance in the murky depths. After a brutal and seemingly endless struggle, Kong finds a moment of opportunity. With a final, furious surge of strength, he grapples Ramarak, forcing its massive jaws open. In a truly gruesome, yet utterly decisive, move, Kong reaches into the creature's gaping maw and, with a powerful, guttural roar, rips out its tongue and internal organs. The sickening sound of flesh tearing and a final, gurgling shriek from Ramarak confirms its demise. Kong stands triumphant, battered and bleeding, but undeniably the victor. He lets out a primal, echoing roar, not just of victory, but of reasserted kingship over Skull Island. It's a primal, visceral end to the biggest threat on the island, a moment that leaves you simultaneously cheering and slightly nauseous, thinking, well, that's one way to win a fight. In the aftermath of the epic clash, with Ramarak's monstrous corpse floating lifelessly, Weaver finds herself in peril, slipping and nearly falling into the churning water below. But before she can plunge to her potential doom, Kong, despite his own injuries, reaches out. His massive, scarred hand, capable of crushing helicopters, gently scoops her up, carefully placing her back on solid ground. It's a tender, almost intimate moment that perfectly encapsulates their unique bond, the colossal protector and the brave human. This final act of gentle protection solidifies Kong's benevolent nature, proving that he truly is the king, but also a guardian, capable of immense destruction and surprising tenderness. It's like watching a giant, furry security guard making sure you don't trip, but with way more emotional weight. As the extraction helicopter finally touches down, the remaining survivors, weary but alive, make their way on board. The most poignant farewell belongs to Hank Marlowe. After nearly 3 decades on Skull Island, he's finally leaving his strange, terrifying, yet somehow beloved home. He shares a quiet, heartfelt moment with Conrad and Weaver, the bond of shared survival evident in their eyes. As the helicopter ascends, Marlowe looks back, a mixture of longing and relief on his face, leaving behind the only life he's known for so long. The island shrinks below them, returning to its storm-shrouded mystery, but the indelible mark it left on them, and the creatures within it, will stay forever. It's like saying goodbye to a really intense, incredibly dangerous summer camp. Back in civilization, Marlowe enjoys a tearful, heartwarming reunion with his now elderly wife and the son he's never met. A poignant reminder of what they fought for. But the story doesn't end there, because Monarch, ever the busybody, knows this is just the beginning. In a tantalizing post-credit scene, Weaver and Conrad are debriefed by Brooks and Randa. They reveal that Kong isn't the only Titan out there. Flashing images of ancient cave paintings and reconnaissance footage appear, revealing iconic silhouettes: the three-headed dragon, Ghidorah, the giant insect, Mothra, and the mighty Troodon, Rodan. It's a spine-tingling tease, confirming that a new era of monsters has begun, and the world is about to get a whole lot bigger and a lot more terrifying. The expedition to Skull Island wasn't just about discovery. It was about preparing us for a world where humanity might just be a side quest in a much larger, more monstrous narrative. Our world, with its battles and its beauty, is just one small part of a much grander, ancient story that continues to unfold, revealing that true wonder often resides just beyond the veil of what we think we know.